Okay, we're here today, we're going to talk about light and shadows. It's an important science concept to understand just how light works, especially when it comes to natural light, but artificial light as well. And we'll talk about the difference between the two here in a little bit. We're outside today and you can see it's kind of raining, but it's spring. So let's take a look at what's going on with light. If we look up, we'll see that it's raining and it's kind of cloudy. You can't really see the sun. There's something else going on too. All our leaves are starting to burst out of the trees, and pretty soon the forest is going to be completely shaded by the tree cover. That doesn't allow light to get down to the forest floor. That's why when we look out there, we don't see a whole lot of plants and stuff growing on the forest floor, because there's a lot of shade there. Things like tree leaves, clouds, rain, they shadow out the sun's light and create a natural shade. So we're going to look at blocking light in a more controlled atmosphere here in a minute. Okay, so what we were talking about outside was some differences between natural light and artificial light. Now, natural light, as we know, is the sun. So let's take a look at these pool balls, and we'll have the yellow ball represent the sun, and this white one is going to represent us. And I'm going to take a little dot right here, and we're going to call that you. This is you, that little tiny speck right there on that ball. That's you, okay? When we set it down like this, you can see the sun is shining its light directly at you. But because we are on a globe and we spin, as we spin around, the sun's not on you anymore. You're over here, and the sun's hitting here. That's why we have night. But as we come back around, sun shines on you again, and it's daytime. And that's kind of how the earth blocks sunlight. And that's kind of important too. That's why we have night and day, and it also has to do with our seasons, and you'll learn about that later on. But there's some things you can do to play with light on your own without having to rely on the sun, because on a day like today, there's no sun out there to be seen. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a light and we're going to shine it on this box. And you can see there's a shadow here. And if I move the light this way, the shadow gets bigger. If I move it this way, the shadow gets smaller. If I move it this way to the left, the shadow starts to move that way. If I move it this way, the shadow starts to move the other way. The shadow moves in the opposite way of the light. Light moves up, shadow moves down. Light moves down, shadow moves up. That's kind of an important concept too, because that's going to figure out where the shade is. And if you're a plant trying to live on the shady side of a tree, you kind of want to know where the best place to be is. Now, there's other things you can do with the box. You can set it this way, and now you've got a long shadow, but it's not very tall. But you can make it taller by moving the light down, or you can make it shorter by moving the light up. Same thing, side to side, it moves the shadow. You can also keep your light in one place, and you can move your object, and the shadow moves with it, until eventually the object moves out of the light, and all you have left is light. So you can play around with this at home or in class and create your own light and your own shadows. And what I want you to do is, after you've played around with light and shadows a little bit on your own, your assignment's going to be to go ahead and draw a picture. You can take a light source and an object and a shadow. That's what has to be included in the picture. You can use any color you want. You can use an artificial source of light, say a stadium light, a street light, any kind of light source that you want. You can use the sun. You can use any object you want. I'm just looking for a light source, an object that blocks the light source, and a shadow. So get drawn and have fun.